You're listening to another episode of the Anna Vivo podcast. Thank you for your time. Okay, so this is not a professional podcast for all of you here today, meaning the clicks and the sounds of the drinking coffee and all of that stuff is totally fine. That said, practice good mic behavior, good mic hygiene, and we'll get right into this. So if you're ready, welcome back to the Anna Vivo podcast. This is another episode. Today, we will be discussing and bringing on special guests, very important people in my life. I would say literally the reason I'm here. My own parents, Clay and Bev Miller, and the heroine of the hour, Jessica Boyd. Welcome back. So, today we're going to be discussing actually something quite somber. I know I led that in with a lot of smiling, and we're all laughing hysterically around the table here. But this is quite an interesting and somber experience that we're going to be discussing today, which will be broken up into multiple episodes. We'll also be bringing in a special guest speaker, Nate Miller, later on in the show as a tease. So be ready for that. And we're going to discuss something that happened pretty recently during your 35th wedding anniversary. But first, let's introduce ourselves. Who do we have on the show today?
I'm Bev, and I'm Tim's mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Tim.
My own mom.
And I'm Clay, and I'm Tim's dad.
Hi, Dad.
Timmy.
And I'm Jess Boyd, the cousin and niece. Cousin, niece, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so this was your 35th anniversary. You've been married quite some time. That's older than I've been alive.
Yep, that's true.
So why did we pick Tahiti?
Back in college at Annapolis, I did a paper on the Mutiny on the Bounty by James Nordoff and Charles Hall. And I was always intrigued with Tahiti, which is where the story really takes place. And Tahiti is just the largest island and the capital island of a chain of islands called French Polynesia. So it was on our bucket list, and we said, let's go do that. So we made plans about a little less than a year ago to go to Tahiti for 2 weeks, to the islands anyway, for 2 weeks to celebrate our 35th.
And it's like way out there. I mean, this isn't something you look on a map for the audience listening in, Google Tahiti. It's not like Hawaii, which is also way out there, but a 6-hour flight from the mainland U.S. What's the flight time like to Tahiti and layovers?
I think it was 9 hours.
Yeah.
We flew from, we drove down to Seattle, caught a flight from Alaska Airlines, Seattle down to Los Angeles, and then caught a connecting flight on Air Tahiti Nui from Los Angeles direct to Tahiti. And I think it was a little over 9 hours.
So now they fly direct from Seattle. But if you picture in your mind flying to Hawaii, then turning immediately south, and it's about off the coast of Peru.
Wow. Yeah, so pretty remote out there. I mean, you don't see it on any maps that we have printed because they're so small. It's an island chain. And how many islands in the Tahiti island, French Polynesia chain?
It's a good question. Never counted them. I think there's like 6 archipelagos. And the Tahiti, Moorea, Bora Bora, Raiatea, and some other islands are part of the archipelago called the Society Islands, or also known as the Friendly Islands. Oh. And Captain Cook, I think, went through there, and he found the natives on the islands to be very friendly. So he called it the Friendly Islands or the Society Islands.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So you you had this dream to go out there from the paper you wrote, and decided this was a great way to celebrate your 35th anniversary. And can I ask your age on the podcast, on the episode today?
Yes, you can.
Okay. It seems like you're not young chickens anymore, but from the Facebook photos we saw initially, you were out there on a ski-doo. Sea-doo.
Right. So I'm 63. Dad is 62. And we just are not finished having adventures.
So you're
we
out
did
there
a
wild.
a sea-doo, which Dad promptly threw me off of. And
Baptism by.
You said doing donuts, throwing
Doing-
people off left and right.
doing donuts. He just abruptly threw both of us off. That should have been a signal right there. But we were snorkeling with black-tipped sharks
Gosh.
and stingrays, and walking around a remote island, and it was beautiful.
It's like you guys didn't learn anything about the president and vice president. Like you should be doing this stuff apart, not together. But here you are snorkeling with sharks. And
Right. But the most beautiful thing about Tahiti, besides the people, because the people are probably the most beautiful characters in the world. I mean, they're so friendly. But they, the water in one, if you were to take one view scope, you could see 3 or 4 different colors of water,
Wow.
which was amazing.
So like a Finding Nemo kind of.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we felt like we fell into an aquarium. It was just one of the places. One of the tour guides took us on it was on Thursday. We went and we did jet ski in the morning with a lady that had about 4 jet skis, and she took us on a tour around the island inside the inner lagoon. And then we ate lunch, and then we went on a boat with a gentleman that was, his mother was Tahitian, his father was from Switzerland, and he looked like he was right out of a Disney movie, just an actor. And he took us out to swim with these fairly docile black-tip sharks and stingrays.
Sure. That's what
And
they
then
say.
then he took us over to a cut in the outer reef where there was living coral, and we went snorkeling in a line following him through the coral gardens there, and saw all the different colored fish. And it was very exotic, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm glad that we were able to do that. So that was.
And this was all like day 2.
No, that was
We got there on the 1st.
That was
on
day
the,
3.
This was on the 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. And then on the
4th
6th,
of August.
the
So this
6th
was
of August,
how many weeks were you planning on staying there? This whole trip?
18 days.
Okay. So the whole trip was expected to be 18 days. You're day 3 or 4 into this on some pretty sweet adventures.
And then day 6,
And then
we take the ATV tour around
Day
the
6,
island.
you decide to up it,
Bora Bora.
up your game.
And it was beautiful. I mean, he took us all around the island
Of Bora Bora.
of Bora Bora.
Yeah, we flew into Tahiti, which is the capital of Tahiti is, or the main city is called
Papeete.
Papeete. Yep, thanks. And that's where the main airport is, the international airport, and the main. Later, we'll find out the main hospital. But we only spent one night there, and then the next day we caught a flight on a local airline, just Air Tahiti, not Air Tahiti Nui, and we flew from Tahiti west about 40 minutes to one of the most western islands in that chain, and it's called Bora Bora. Bora Bora is quite small. You can travel around it in a car in less than an hour. The whole island just has one road that goes around the perimeter, around the shoreline. And it was important to the United States because in World War II, after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, we realized we didn't have much of a presence in the Pacific outside of Guam and the Philippines. So we made arrangements to build an air base on Bora Bora on the western end. They built a runway there, and then they found out it had a good harbor for ships to come in and resupply and get fuel. So they brought in cannons and put them around the island to protect it and make it a Navy base. You can read about it. It's called Operation Bobcat.
Oh, that sounds actually really interesting.
Yeah, so we went to Bora Bora with the idea of staying at a resort for 1 week, and then we were going to fly back east to the island of Moorea and spend a week there at a different resort doing different things, and then take a ferry back to Tahiti, spend another day driving around and seeing Tahiti, and then fly home.
What was on Maria that was of interest?
It's just a beautiful island that's nearby Tahiti, and it's different, and we wanted to make as much of the time as we could.
Cool. Okay, so you've got these great aspirations. We're all excited because the parents are away, so we can sort of party here as as your children do. And Jess is in town visiting us from. Where are you visiting us from?
Wenatchee.
Oh, very far away. Yeah. Jess is visiting from Wenatchee, and we're all down at Monroe Landing, which is here on Whidbey Island, one of the beaches, many beaches here. And we are, like brothers do, building a raft, lashing wood together out of seaweed and driftwood to escape the island. And we're currently drifting with the tide out into Penn Cove on the 6th.
I don't remember it that way, but okay. I think it was a little bit more of a struggle than just drifting.
How would you describe it? You were there.
4 grown men hugging a couple logs, trying to get it to float, giggling the whole time.
Jess not helping at all.
And I heard that Ben was the anchor man.
Yeah, Ben was sort of holding it all together or keeping us apart. I'm not really sure. We were keeping Ben on the raft or something, and Uncle Mark and Jess were watching hysterically from the shoreline. so we're here enjoying ourselves, doing some adventurous water sports, and you guys are just finishing up your ATV tour. Now, prefacing this tour, it's not a high adventure, high speed jumping ATV. You guys are well helmeted. You're in really good gear. You've got a great guide and a great company, and it's more of a tour, right?
Yeah,
along the
we
beach.
probably didn't go faster than 35 miles an hour on the long stretches.
Yeah, and we only left the main road, the perimeter road that goes around the island's shoreline. We left it twice. Once we went on the inside of the perimeter up to a promontory point where we could look towards Raiatea and then look back towards our own lagoon in the airport. And we have a nice picture from up there. And then another time on the island, he took us to the outside of the perimeter. There was a dirt road, kind of a gravelly road that went off to another promontory point where the U.S. Army had built a observation post to overlook the cut where the ships would come in, so they could protect that. And so it wasn't, it wasn't dramatic 4-wheel driving or anything like that. It was more just like being on a golf cart going real fast.
And these are ATVs. Folks have asked me, were you side by side? What they call the side by sides, or were you?
I was behind
each other. Okay.
We're riding it like a motorcycle. Okay. I was behind Dad, and it had 4 wheels, and we were both helmeted.
Yeah, these are very, very expensive ATVs. So they're also called quads, and they have the front part of it looks like a motorcycle. You've got handlebars. On the left, you've got a caliper brake that you'd squeeze just like on a bicycle to stop. And on the right, instead of a twist throttle like you have on a motorcycle, for your right hand's left thumb, there's a little thumb lever that you squeeze. The harder you squeeze, the faster you go.
Okay.
And so I was just kind of hanging on there, squeezing the throttle mechanism to make the thing go forward faster, and letting go and squeezing the brake to stop.
And nothing on your feet that would break or shift up a gear or something like that?
Not that I remember. We just had our feet on posts or whatever to keep them out of the way. So
It was interesting on our way to the tour, the tour guide and the owner goes around to all the different resorts, and he's picking us all up. And Dad and I were the first ones to be picked up. And so we're sitting in the front seat with him, and we're just asking him all kinds of questions about the islands. And one of our questions was, so when someone gets hurt, where do they go? Do you have a hospital here? And he said, oh no, people can't even plan to have their babies here. They have to go to Raiatea because we have no hospital. We only have a vet clinic and a walk-in clinic, and they're side by side. So that was just an interesting question that we
sort of a little premonition.
ask.
Yeah, a little
foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Okay, so you're ending the tour a couple hours long, and coming across the road is how I was described the situation. You want to walk us through what happened next?
So the proprietor's name is Manu. He's a great guy. If you ever go to Bora Bora, I do recommend if you're not my age, and you're younger, I do recommend doing the ATV tour. But his business is located at, if the island is a clock, his business is located at about the 11 o'clock position on the island, with the airport being at about the 12 o'clock position outside on the outer reef. In fact, when you land in your airplane, to get to anywhere, a boat has to come from your resort or the city, the town, to pick you up and bring you to the island itself.
It sounds really beautiful.
It is. It's
paradise. Almost.
Sign me up.
Think of Tom Hanks in Castaway, but the island's a lot bigger, and there's a road that goes around the whole shoreline. So we're at the very end. We've gone around the island counterclockwise, and we've come back to the driveway, and it's probably about 100 yards off of the road, up the hill on the inside of the island, to get to the parking lot for all the ATVs, and it's got like a storage shed there that they park them under to keep them out of the rain. And then a man who lives farther up the hill at the end of the driveway. And so we're second from last, and we're waiting for cross traffic to get out of the way so we can make a left turn across the oncoming traffic. They drive on the same side of the road as we do. And the last car went by, and so I gave it some gas, and we shot up the driveway. And everything was normal. And we get up to the parking area, and I remember thinking, boy, it's pretty crowded up here. I don't want to hit anybody. So I'll steer around to the left side and stay on the driveway and go past the parking area. And my last thought was, I'm too far left. Bev's last thought was, you're going too fast.
It wasn't a thought. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
And I don't hear
Stop, because we're flying past the parking lot.
And later, this is important, later, just recently, I was dialoguing via email with the owner. He had gotten off of his ATV and was helping other customers get off their ATVs and back them into the shed. And he saw me, and he began yelling at me to slow down. And then he said it looked like I just passed out. And the next thing that happened was we hit a tree and somehow flew off the ATV. Bev flew off over top of me, landed on the ground with her head facing the ATV. I flew off and landed on top of Bev and broke her pelvis in 3 places. The owner said the ATV was unharmed. It didn't flip over or anything. But in the process of flying off and landing, somehow I broke my neck, the C2 vertebrae. I broke 15 of my ribs, 7 on my right side, 8 on my left. Some of the ribs were broken in 2 places. I punctured my lungs, my liver, and my spleen. And I didn't know it at the time. Nobody knew it at the time, but I broke my left shoulder, and I got a thing on my left hip that's like a hematoma. It's called a seroma. And I don't remember any of this because I was already passed out before any of this happened.
In your jaw, too, right?
No.
I got some cuts on the bottom of my jaw. There's a cut there that was bleeding, but fortunately, graciously, we were wearing our helmets, or this probably would have a different ending. But we were wearing our helmets. Mom blacked out for a little bit. I was blacked out. Mom wakes up and is in a lot of pain. She's yelling at people to get me off of her, and then she looks at me and thinks,
Well, yeah. Let me back up. The ATV must have fallen over because it was on its side, and that's what I saw. So I came to the conclusion days later that it must have fallen on Clay, and they muscled it off, and that's why he was so bad. But we found out later that it never did fall on him. So I'm in this ditch with him on top of me, and I'm yelling, please get him off me. And I'm crying out to God, have mercy, have mercy. And then they, in the French language, are yelling at him, Monsieur, Monsieur, Monsieur. And I'm thinking, God, he's dead. Okay, God, he's not ready to be dead. Please don't let him be dead. And he started this groaning that was inhuman. And I thought, okay, he's alive.
Yeah, when you had first described the encounter to me, the way it was described was you guys had Dad had passed out, and you guys had rolled into a ditch or into a drainage ditch, and then the ATV and then you guys had fallen off, and the ATV rolled over top of you because you came to facing the wheels on its side, and you had said you were just on the hillside clutching grass. I mean, just your claws dug into the.
I was laying on my side. I was all on my side, and just my hand digging into the grass. It was a grassed ravine, drainage ditch, and I had the man behind us said he passed out. He passed out. Well, by the time they got me sitting up, they had Clay up on the driveway, and they were. Well, by that time the ambulance had come, and so they were putting a neck brace on him. But I saw this golf ball size ball on his shoulder, and I'm telling them his shoulder's broken. But at that point, and I didn't know, I was in shock, but they're just trying to keep him alive. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and for the timing for them to have brought the ambulance, cleared you guys from the accident, and then brought the ambulance, the amount of time you must have been out and in shock combination, for them to even get an ambulance from wherever the clinic.
I don't know where that ambulance was, but as they're putting Dad on the backboard and getting him ready to go in the ambulance, they said to me, "Can you sit up?" Because all this is in retrospect. I didn't realize it at the moment, but I said, if someone carries me, I can. Well, what they were wondering was, do you need to be on a backboard? Because then we need to get another ambulance. Well, so as these men are carrying me over to the ambulance, I hear Dad's phone in the grass. And let me back up. So many people have asked us, where was your GoPro? Well, our GoPro had run out of battery about half an hour before this. And so I was just taking pictures with Dad's phone. And so I hear his phone go ding. And so I go, oh, grab his phone. So then I had the phone, which was a blessing, because as I'm in the ambulance, Dad is awake because all he's saying is, what happened? Bev, are you okay? Looping that. What happened? Bev, are you okay? And I would just keep answering him. And so I was able to text our family page on our messenger page. And I said, we've been in a horrible accident, both alive, more later. And so evidently that's where it picks up at Monroe Landing.
Grace. So it's kind of a cryptic, oh my goodness. It's hard to tell what's happening. Yeah. And, the boys are out
lollygagging.
So yeah, I'm on the shore with Becky and Grace, and she just gets this alarming but cryptic text of horrible accident, alive, like 6 words. So she just kind of casually walks over to the shore where the boys are just being silly. And I'm so proud of her. Who the heck knows what's going on? And she just waits for them to see her and then says, oh, they've been in an accident. They're alive, but it's been a bad accident.
Yeah. So lots of God's sovereignty just in this initial part, because for as much as we joke on Dad for having all of his notifications turned on his phone all the time, that actually caused, for whatever that ding was, some notification.
Might have been a real estate client.
Yeah, may have been a client. Mom was able to get the phone, which will be part of the story later because of how remote the whole area is anyway, and Dad's phone being the only phone on the international plan at the time. If she had had her phone, nobody would have contacted that, and this will play into the story in a little bit of how the rescue operation then begins to unfold. But
can I interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like this is kind of the theme, maybe from my perspective, of like such a crazy, chaotic event that has these weird examples of God's sovereignty through it. I'm like, why did your phone ding at that time? And it's just such a traumatic event, also you could see God's hand of protection and sovereignty in each step of the way. And that was amazing for me to see.
Yeah.
I agree. You know, that another question that will come up, it came up to me, was how in the world did a retired Navy jet pilot crash an ATV into a tree?
Well, we were afraid to tell you that. I kept telling the boys, one of you has got to tell your dad when he wakes up that, hey, it was pilot error.
Yeah. I think now what happened was I saw the very crowded parking area, didn't want to hit anybody. In these ATVs, you have to see a picture of them. They're robust. They're really big. They're not the little things that we drove around in Wyoming when we went to visit some friends at a ranch. These were really large. They look like ski-doos on four wheels. And I think what happened was I was squeezing the brakes and squeezing the throttle at the same time, trying to stop it. And in that contest, the engine always wins. So I think it was accelerating instead of stopping. And somewhere in there, I think I experienced the doom of something bad's about to happen. And maybe I passed out right at that moment. So that's what I think happened. I think I was squeezing the throttle instead of the brakes.
Yeah, we'll take a break and continue the story in a little bit. But to wrap up that whole scenario there, it was a lot of the back and forth that began to unfold with everyone back home here, all your friends and family, was, did he have a heart attack? Had they been was he dehydrated after multiple hours on the ATV and snorkeling and all this other stuff and just passed out? And mom had thought
stroke.
Yeah, mom had thought you had a stroke or maybe you passed out from something. And so knowing our family medical history as well and everything, there's just obviously a lot of confusion between all of that.
Well, and, at that point, once the troops had gathered on our side, we had, maybe the next text message was like 10 minutes later and it was another 6 words.
Yeah.
So we're trying to interpret all the scenarios, through this like Morse code, it felt like.
Right.
Well, I know Grace finally called me. By the time they got us to the veterinary clinic, which we didn't know was a veterinary.
That's where they gave us our distemper shots.
Yeah. All I know is that the vet was doing complete triage on Dad. They had hooked me up to morphine. But at that point, Grace called me on the phone. Mm-hmm. And I was able to tell her. I told her, I think my hip is broken. Dad's shoulder's broken, but I think he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that he was repeating himself, and you had told us the basic scans that they had done at that point.
Yeah, we had, Grace had successfully negotiated us off our raft. And
it was a miracle.
It was,
in and of itself.
with Ben's help, our raft was falling apart anyway. And so we made it back to shore and weren't sure how serious the situation was. And so I think after that phone call and then multiple messages back and forth, we began sort of
started to sink in.
Yes, sink in and began a triage plan of our own. And there was still, of course, a lot of confusion at the time, but then also part of the story that we'll go into in the next episode is how, again, God's sovereignty worked, that Jess actually had homework and wasn't supposed to be here that weekend. And she was just visiting for a few days because her dad, Uncle Mark, was here as well, visiting his mom, Graham. And so it just worked out well that she was here, and she's a traveling nurse and also sovereignly speaks French. And so there was a lot of things that just sort of happened and fell into place, which was really wonderful to be able to streamline that communication, get on the same international plan on my phone, and be able to now talk to the doctors who were, at the vet clinic initially, triaging you and Dad, and helping coordinate the airvac flight from Bora Bora to Raiatea. And so we'll leave it there. I'm going to introduce our next guest here as part of the teaser, and then we'll pick up.
So I just want to also say that the next episode will be just the evacuation team, which is, our joke, but Tim, Nate, and I. And I just wanted to say that it was awesome as a nurse to see all of the emergency contingency plans that you have set up. All of your itinerary and your emergency contacts were all ready to go. And then Tim's logistics are just fantastic. So, I think he spent a lot of time talking about other people, but
35 years earlier, your dad found the same type of a list in our house when he had to find us in the middle of our honeymoon because your grandmother had a heart attack.
Yeah.
So trip plans are important.
Trip plans are important. So we're going to introduce the next guest here. This is part of what Jess was just referring to, the triage plan. We'll see if the next guest caller will answer his phone.
Hello?
Hello, guest number 4. You are caller number 10. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, awesome. Insert Rocket Man astronaut Randall scream. That's awesome.
Exactly. Well, you are live on the air. And who are you?
I am Nate Miller. Hey.
Nate Miller. And Nate is our
Hi, Nate.
Nate is our fourth born.
Hey, Mom.
Or my parents' fourth born, my fourth brother. You are joined today by your favorite mother, your favorite father, and one of your favorite cousins, Jessica. Welcome to the episode. So
Hey, guys.
we just finished discussing and bringing everyone on the show up to speed on exactly what happened for the accident in Tahiti. And we're going to use this sort of intro to you as an intro to the next episode, which is the extraction team. So,
sorry, we got up to the announcement that they had gotten
Right.
in an accident, and we as a family on stateside had just heard the news.
that's right. Yeah. So the parents are currently in the veterinary clinic in Bora Bora. Your 4 brothers are currently deboarding a raft,
Finally crafted raft.
a finely crafted raft on Monroe Landing,
Of course.
and negotiating calls with Jess and Mom. And you are, where are you? Our fourth.
And I
our other
am...
brothers.
I think I'm laying in bed taking a nap at the time that we got the message from Mom on Facebook Messenger that they were in an accident. I was literally laying down and I looked at it at the message.
And you're in what place in the world?
Oh, Alaska, Juneau, Alaska. I was in Juneau, where I'm stationed here for the Coast Guard, and everybody else is out having fun, and I'm just taking a nap, not doing anything exciting.
Awesome. Yeah. So Nate is in the Coast Guard active duty and stationed with his lovely family in Juneau, and so we bring him up to speed at this time.
And I'd love to, I guess, I got to see the level of awareness and reality sink into all of these, family members' faces. But I'd love to hear what your reaction was, since we didn't get to collectively process that with you. Yeah, to that message.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a mixed reaction, a little bit of, just because I was in the state of I think that whole day, I think I was just tired, and I saw the message and I said, and I feel like we've gotten bombshells, dropped on us throughout Facebook Messenger before, so to speak, of this happened, this happened, crew passed or Moki passed and stuff like that. And so it's as me, an internal processor, I don't like to really, show my feelings too well. I was like, oh man, Mom and Dad were in an accident. Oh, that sucks. And I know, and I'm sort of a logical, all right, well, there's nothing I can do right now. Mom's going to send an update when she can. So I don't want to flood the Facebook messages, with that. And so I was just very kind of just methodical, just all right, let's just hang out. Let's wait for this to happen. Like, we don't know anything. It's literally a foreign country. Anything could have happened. Like, the accident could mean anything. So, let's just wait for more details. And then I think throughout the next 24 hours, it got to I think, if I remember right, the details came out of what had happened. And I was like, okay, maybe this is more than just like, all right, Dad, did a backflip on a ski dude. Yeah. I was like, this is serious. So, at that point I was very much in planning mode, because just from my experience of what I've heard that tourists can go through in a foreign country, even though it was France and it wasn't like Colombia or anything like that, but like, what I heard of, like, from tourists, the level of care that they can get and how foreign countries can take advantage of that whole situation, my mind started to then go into a downward spiral of, oh my gosh, all right, we gotta get these guys out of there. Like,
so Nate, can I interrupt? Because
yeah,
you are familiar with that kind of stuff because your job in the Coast Guard has let you see
he's a
lot
culinary
of that
specialist.
Stuff. Yeah,
I cook food. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, but yeah, I am. I that's like it's. I don't see it 24/7, but all the reports and stuff like that is very much happening on a daily, if not weekly basis throughout my office. And so, yeah, I automatically jumped to worst case scenario once the details started pouring in, and I think that I don't know if that's like a show of unfortunately, like a show of where I'm at in my life with faith or whatnot, but like it unfortunately jumped to worst case scenario instead of like, all right, well, you know what, like God still got this, like we can still we'll still take this one step at a time kind of a situation. So, but yeah, that is stuff I'm unfortunately very familiar with.
Yeah, I had just interesting observation that very similar to mine of like, oh, interesting accident, cryptic messaging. Oh, this is serious. Right. Oh, I also have some experience in what this could be, and maybe I should go. I feel like that's very similar process to you, like pretty soon after, maybe within like 6 hours, once we started to realize how serious it was. I felt like I heard you were getting geared up to go as well. So just very interesting that our roles were kind of given to us right away. Like Tim went into logistics mode immediately, started calling, hotel people about suitcases and, calling 15 different people. So it's just interesting to me that, God has a plan with our experiences and our heart and our skill sets. And we can talk about that more later, but that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the next episode will be focusing more on the extraction team and the stateside view, POV, point of view. And then we'll bring the parents back on for an in-depth look of what the next month, really, month and a half almost, of what that looked from their point of view. So thank you all for listening in today. And this is definitely something that is important for us to have recorded as a part of our oral history, but also for the family and friends that have been so generous in their prayers and their financial support and their concern. This will be serve as a living testimony to the greatness and provision of our God, but also how he uses the body of family members and believers around the world, literally around the world, even right there in Raiatea, to come alongside and support his children. So, last remarks there.
Is that Nate's dog in the background that I hear?
Sorry, the kids decided to pull out some toys right in the middle of the phone call. So,
this is Dad. I just wanted to say, and I agree with Jessica that God was not caught by surprise by this what turned out to be a horrific accident. And my last memory was going past the parking lot on August 6th My next memory now is on August 21st, 15 days later. So a lot takes place in the middle there. I guess that's for future episodes, but none of this caught the Lord by surprise. And he had already orchestrated a lot of different things to come into play, not just for my benefit and Bev's benefit, but for other people's benefit, because they got to play roles and do things that the Lord designed them to do. So,
Yeah. Nate, closing remarks before we let you go?
Yeah. No, I appreciate the chance to be a part of this. I think it is very, very important to just show kind of how God worked throughout this whole situation, and you can kind of look at a incident of, okay, mom and dad were in an accident, and check off the box of like kind of what happened, but then at the very end, not understand all the details and just the craziness that went through it all, and just to be able to see all of that. Sorry. Just to be able to see all of that is truly remarkable. So I'm excited to unpack all this and kind of show exactly what happened throughout the last the week or the month or 2 months that this all took place.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Nate.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Nate.
All right, closing remarks from Mom, Jess?
Yeah, I think I love Jesus with all my heart. He's the Lord of my life. And if I didn't have his word as my comfort during this time, I would have fallen apart. But one of my life verses is Psalm 119, 165. Those who love your law have great peace, and nothing causes them to stumble. And I have to say that was, in this adventure, a huge reason why I didn't fall to pieces.
Yeah. Amen. Jess?
I think we'll probably say this about 1 million times. So I'm so thankful that you guys are here to be able to talk about this. And I'm also really thankful to have seen the process, even though it was so traumatic. I've never seen someone praise God and have protection in their hearts in a lot of ways through something so crushing, and that will never leave me. And it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. It's easy to kind of look back a few months after this and almost forget the emotion, the rawness of the whole ordeal. And so, I think it's important. So, all right. So this is part 1 of at least 3 parts. We will see, but everyone appreciate the attention there, and tune in next time as we get into the details. You're listening to Anna Vivo Podcast. Do, do, do. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Anna Vivo Podcast. We welcome your feedback and ideas. You can learn more about us by simply Googling the word Anna Vivo. This podcast is supported by listeners like you. I am a licensed real estate broker with Compass Real Estate and a nationwide real estate matchmaker. We consult with you for free, find and vet the right real estate professional that specializes in the area and niche you need, are paid by that professional, and they get clients like yourself who want and need their unique specialty or winning track record. If you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell real estate anywhere in the U.S., don't simply web search the highest paying advertiser. Let us use our licensed experience to find and vet the real and best professional for you. It costs you nothing but a phone call or email with me, and has saved my clients financially and emotionally. I'd be honored to serve, and you can reach me direct by email at tim.c.miller@outlook.com. And as always, to God be the glory.